Ohio Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, Sunday, 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh. However, talking about that game and previewing that game does not seem like the biggest storyline with the Cleveland Browns currently. After several days of debate since the Joe Flacco trade on Tuesday, the Cleveland Browns have now put out their announcement as to who is now the number 2 quarterback behind Dillon Gabriel. And Sheduer Sanders is, in fact, being elevated from the number 3 quarterback position to the number 2 quarterback. We'll talk about that. Get into a little bit of Sunday's game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All that and more. Browns 3D on the OBR network. OBR streaming network begins now. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D on the OBR streaming network. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate each and every one of you that come to the OBR every single day, whether it is for the best Cleveland Browns written content there is at theobr.com. Look into the VIP package. You have access to the insider forums, Ask the Insiders. Of course, your subscription gets bundled with Paramount Plus. 2 great things for the price of one is always a fantastic deal. And we continue our thanks for everyone supporting us at the OBR streaming network, beginning nightly at 6 p.m. Eastern. Great group of us putting out content over there, several different dynamics, certainly a lot of different perspectives. And you can catch us every Sunday, 1 hour after the conclusion of each game for your Cleveland Browns post-game show. Make sure you subscribe to the OBR on YouTube. And, of course, make sure you're subscribed to the OBR on Twitch. Are you going to mark down the time the second you saw it on social media, or perhaps you got the notification? Sheduer Sanders is now the number 2 quarterback for your Cleveland Browns, which means now you already have 10 rookies contributing for the Cleveland Browns, with the possibility of an 11th. I think there's some confusion, with a lot of people. And for those of us who do what we do and obviously get pretty deep into our research of players and our viewing of players and grading of players. And I'm not going to speak for everybody in the Cleveland Browns content business. I'll certainly speak for myself. There was never an issue that any of us had with Sheduer. And I never had an issue with Sheduer. I think Sheduer was a great quarterback in Colorado. I think he was one of the better quarterbacks in what was a poor 2025 quarterback class. I think physically throwing the football, I think Sheduer Sanders and Cam Ward, there was not that much of a difference. But there are a lot of other elements that go into playing the position. And those elements are part of the major reasons why Sheduer Sanders, and certainly some off-field stuff that did not help, and his family handled this entire process piss poorly. But I think everybody just assumed, outside of maybe, content and media, that even though Sheduer Sanders was drafted in the 5th round, he was still viewed as this top quarterback prospect in the 2025 class. There's some flaws. There were flaws. A quarterback gets sacked 94 times in 2 seasons at the University of Colorado. I will not argue with you that his offensive line wasn't very great. I will not argue with you that there was not much threat of a running game in Colorado. Those are things I'm not going to argue with you about. Factual. But some things also have to go on the player himself. And being sacked 94 times in 2 seasons, I don't care if you didn't have an offensive line. I don't care if you never put a running back on the field. I don't care if you were playing 7-on-7 versus 11. Your quarterback is responsible for getting the ball away and avoiding as many sacks as possible. And that's a flaw. With Sheduer now being the number 2 quarterback, and let's be honest, one snap away from the Sheduer Sanders experience taking over Cleveland. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it might be. That's how close we are. We talk about Dillon Gabriel, and one of the things that everybody seems to really like about Dillon Gabriel is we use the phrase on time. So Dillon Gabriel gets the ball, bang, bang, bang. Check all your progressions. If it's there, throw it. If it's not, do something positive. Throw the ball away. Run up the field, take a couple yards, live to play another play. Sheduer Sanders, what we saw at Colorado, and certainly what we saw in the final preseason game against the Rams, and even in some snaps in the first preseason game against Carolina Panthers, is Sheduer Sanders tries to create plays when he has no business trying to create a play. His legs are not going to create anything special. Very rarely. I'm talking like probably single percentage where his legs are going to make a difference. If it's not there, it's just not there. And that is the difference between being a good quarterback and a smart quarterback. And there were times where at Colorado, Sheduer Sanders took sacks so poorly. There was a time it was 17-yard line at Colorado. He was in the opponent's 17-yard line. He got sacked so far back, Colorado had punt. Intelligence, quarterback intelligence. And Sheduer has this stuff. It's just the athletic will in one's body to try to continuously make things happen when that needs to be coached out of you and needs to be said that's a detriment. Sometimes there's just plenty of times where you just got to understand it's just not there. It's just not there. So don't compound it by trying to make even more out of something when you just don't have the athletic skills to make that kind of difference. And it's okay. Plenty of quarterbacks succeeded in this NFL without, this uber athleticism that some of these guys in today's game have. I don't know when his opportunity is going to come. Obviously, it's closer than it's ever been now. If he does get in, it's simple. Get the ball, read your progressions, get rid of the ball. Very similar to what we saw Dillon Gabriel do last Sunday in England against the Minnesota Vikings. This team is crazy young. Already have 10 rookies contributing one way or another, minor or major. And an 11th that is just a snap away from getting his first chance to prove his worth to the Cleveland Browns. You tried playing Joe and tried playing Joe to see if it would turn into something. Either Joe could navigate the ship and the team would find a way to be competitive and win some games, or Joe was going to play well and maybe the team didn't overall play well. You tried that. Didn't get you anywhere. Now this season is about developing, which is looking like right now an incredible rookie class for this team. And then hoping to go bag another one in April in the draft and crush the offseason. And hopefully, you're there. This isn't a tank job by the Cleveland Browns by any means whatsoever. If they win games With all these kids on the field, they are more than okay with that. These kids getting better hopefully leads to much bigger and brighter days for the Cleveland Browns overall soon. Mike Hall has been ruled out again for the 6th game this season. Look, Mike's out there practicing. If Mike wasn't practicing, I would definitely have concerns. But he is out there practicing. He's just not there yet, apparently. So I think we're probably due maybe a little bit more of an update and maybe a little bit more than a one-sentence answer on where Mike Hall is right now. I say, yeah, that's fair. Are we going to get it? Absolutely not. We all know how this goes. But if there's one thing I'm not really concerned about right now, it's the Browns' defensive line in any way, shape, or form, or certainly zero concerns about the Cleveland Browns defensive tackle group. They're a fantastic group. Getting Mike Hall back will just absolutely blow the roof off of it. But if Mike is not 100%, and I basically said this from jump in the summer, if he's not 100%, there's essentially no reason for him to be on the field. You have enough guys. Everybody plays well. So, yeah, it'd be great to get Mike in there and, have this D-line be even better. But why risk? There's no reason to risk this whatsoever. So Mike Hall is out for Sunday. So we know one name that will be on the inactive list. Everybody else is cleared and ready to go. Comes down to whether or not coach suits him up on Sunday. Have to believe that Cam Robinson will make his debut for the Cleveland Browns at left tackle this Sunday. And it's not that I dislike KT Levinson's game. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he could somehow, some way, maybe find himself as a contender for a guard position next year. I think in a phone booth, I would like him a little bit better. I think on the island is where you maybe see some concerns with Levinson. He can run block. Wouldn't be surprised. That's another one, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe his name was called as being a reserve tight end this week. So if you wanted to run that package where you bring in Fannin and Hutchinson, having Njoku on there, and then bring in Levinson as another tackle, as another, pseudo tight end, rather. I could see that. Certainly could be a possibility. The trips to Pittsburgh have never been kind. Unless, of course, it was that one January night in 2021. Sunday Night Football. And the Browns just absolutely blitzkrieged the Pittsburgh Steelers in their place. Steelers came back and made that game closer than it was, but my God, what a fun night that was. Right off the bat, first play, ball into the end zone. Carl Joseph dives on it, touchdown Browns. And then after that, the kicking of the ass was on. Now, this is where this could be fun for this Browns team going further into this season. With all this youth, there really isn't anything to lose. You want the guys to garner NFL experience, continue to hone their craft, hopefully week in, week out for the rest of the season, just show improvement. And major improvement is fine, but, hey, if you made a mistake doing this the week before, let's not see you make that same mistake the following week. Grow as a player, mature as a player, get more comfortable in your own skin, get more comfortable within the scheme. I think for Dillon Gabriel this week, I really think, and look, there were certainly, there was certainly some meat left on the bone. Let's not kid ourselves. There was certainly things that were missed by Dillon Gabriel. So now I think Dillon Gabriel's got the first NFL start out of the way. You certainly want him to continue to play smart and somewhat safe. But you have to let the kid go out there and believe in himself and believe in the fact and in his own ability. Call something deep and developing for him. If he's got to check it down, he's got to check it down. The play that Jake Burns put up and did a great job of covering, call that again. See how Dillon Gabriel handles it. Does Pittsburgh, obviously knowing and seeing the film, jump all over Njoku? See how Gabriel reacts. Does Gabriel throw to another route in the route combination? And another thing, if I'm Cleveland and Tommy Reese and Kevin Stefanski, it was really nice to get David Njoku going last week, obviously. What David can do for this team. And I know there's a lot of rumors, where David might stand in regards to his future in Cleveland or even his future in Cleveland in 2025. He's one that I'm probably a little more tougher on my stance as far as wanting around. Look, I can understand and I get roster management and everything, and everybody knows, and obviously Colesman, Andrew Barry, Homer till whatever. That's fine. Moving David Njoku would not be something that I would sincerely think to do. Yes, I understand there's a great possibility that we could be seeing the last of David Njoku in Cleveland. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Browns hold no cards here. I just think that David, in his time here, has always been a guy that's just really, really A, been a good player. B, just been a fun guy. Certainly seems like his teammates just absolutely kind of vibe with him. They all get along extremely well. So I'm not sure what the future is for David Njoku, certainly after this year. Heck, I'm not even sure what the future is for David Njoku by the end of the month. But it's not a move I would entertain. There's a chance the Browns do entertain it. Let's just hope it's not something that's coming down the pike. There's certain players, and I'm the guy where, all right, it's not my, season's over and he's not going to be here anyway. Move it. Let's get something for him. But there's certain players where I kind of put my foot down and I just, nah, man, can't do it. Can't do it without him here. David would certainly fall into the category of those guys. But just as important it was to get David Njoku going last week, I think it's equally important this week to get Jerry Jeudy going. And this is probably as much on Jerry Jeudy as it is anybody else. Jerry Jeudy played last year with a laser focus and a little piss and arrogance about his time with the Denver Broncos. And you don't see that same fire in Jerry Jeudy this year than you did in 2024. And I'm not really sure why. I mean, Jeudy finally proved to the Denver Broncos and proved to the rest of the league that he was right and they were all wrong. that he could be a legit playmaker in this league. You're not getting it right now, however. And the Browns desperately need it. And the Browns desperately need Jerry Jeudy to be the 2024 version of Jerry Jeudy for the rest of this offense that is just so infused with young talent. If Jerry Jeudy is going out there and putting up numbers like he did last year, things get easier for Isaiah Bond. Things get easier for Jamari Thrash. Maybe a Malachi Corley. They certainly get easier for Harold Fannin. They get easier for David Njoku. They get easier for Quinshon Judkins, Jerome Ford, and of course, Dillon Sampson. So if I'm the Browns, my first offensive series, obviously I'm going to hand the ball to Quinshon Judkins a couple times. But my first offensive series is going to be 2 to 3 targets, if not more, trying to get Jerry Jeudy going. I would say he's probably still slightly ahead, not by much maybe, as your top playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. Quinshon Judkins is knocking on that door to be viewed as the top skill talent on the Cleveland Browns offense. But with all this youth, and certainly with the Dillon Gabriel and now a Sheduer Sanders sitting at number 2 on the depth chart, these guys need a guy. And they need, whether or not you view Jerry Jeudy as a number 1 wide receiver or not, that's irregardless. But Jerry Jeudy is, in fact, the Cleveland Browns' number 1 wide receiver. They need him to perform like it. They need him to produce like it. And for Dillon Gabriel to be able to put out legit production, when I say legit production, I'm talking 250 in the air. He's going to need a guy like Jerry Jeudy to help him get there. This group needs to pick it up on the offensive side of the ball. This scoring in the teens, it's getting old. It's getting tired. It's getting played out. This team needs to find a way to put points on the board. Again, not the easiest place to go and do it. Certainly not the easiest opponent to go and do it too. But the Steelers coming into this game 3-1, obviously well rested. I wouldn't say necessarily tested to this point at 3-1. I think the Browns are in a little bit of an enviable position. That Pittsburgh just doesn't really have much of an identity yet on this whole Browns offense. Between obviously Gabriel and all the other kids, and Quinshon Judkins are running really hard, and this team needs to play better on the offensive side of the ball all around. Offensive line needs to luck it up. 5 penalties at a left tackle position in an NFL game is inexcusable. Scoring in the teens is inexcusable. We know Gabriel's capable of playing at a fast pace, putting up yards, putting up points. It might be a lot to ask for that to happen in his second NFL start in a place like Pittsburgh against a team like the Steelers. There ain't no Northwesterns in the NFL. I think Dillon Gabriel plays well this week. I think Dillon Gabriel takes another step up after a positive first start, takes yet even another positive step forward in his second NFL start. But I also think there's got to be the freedom given to Dillon Gabriel to trust yourself. And I think that's the biggest problem that this Browns team kind of has on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball right now. Is that I think there's just an overall fear from this team that any mistakes, even if they're minor, become so difficult to overcome. Which tends to have players not necessarily reacting the way they need to. You see it, you feel it, you think you see it, go 100 million miles an hour and play off your instincts. With young guys, they're going to learn A, that they were right and to continue to believe in themselves, or they're going to learn that some things are different in the NFL. And, you can't always have it come so easily to you. But if Dillon Gabriel is to truly succeed, every now and then you just got to grip it and rip it, baby. And, having him play not to cost the Browns a game really isn't improving him or letting us show the full version of him. I've said it and I keep saying it. I think the long-term view for Dillon Gabriel is that he's probably a decent game managing quarterback who could be a higher end number 2. Right now, Dillon Gabriel is going to try and do everything he can to convince us otherwise. But that's also got to be on him. Safe is fine. But safe doesn't necessarily win you much. And safe doesn't really give you an opportunity to ever be viewed as the guy. I'm not saying go play bombs away, obviously. But Dillon Gabriel's got to have some more faith in himself. Certainly needs his route runners to run the routes the way they're expected and at the depth they're expected to be. A lot of times you see these still shots and you kind of see a bunch of Cleveland Browns guys all kind of in the same area, which is aggravating, frustrating, and there's just no damn way that everybody's executing to the letter of the play call. I think defensively, Aaron Rodgers is just going to be in for a bad, bad day, man. I think this Browns defensive line is going to be pissed off that they did not take enough opportunities of what was a sweet matchup last week against the Vikings. And I think they're going to get their rocks off against the 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers this Sunday and probably remind him just in fact that he is 42 years old. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to win in Pittsburgh on Sunday. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. 23-16. Dillon Gabriel and the offense look pretty damn good. And Myles Garrett and the Browns defensive line do everything they can to remind Aaron Rodgers that he is still 42 years old, playing a kid's game, and he ain't a kid no more. We always appreciate and thank you guys for all the support here for everything we do with the OBR. For all of you that head on over to the OBR.com every day for the best Cleveland Browns written coverage there is, we thank you. While you're over there, look into the VIP access, insider forums, Ask the Insiders, and of course, your subscription gets bundled with Paramount Plus. 2 great things for the price of one. Can't beat it. For all the continued support here for the OBR streaming network, beginning nightly at 6 p.m. Plenty of different shows to wet your whistle. Plenty of different personalities. Make sure you subscribe to the OBR on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the OBR on Twitch. This has been your daily delivery of all things dog pound. Browns 3D on the OBR streaming network. And we will talk to y'all Sunday.